sweetheart, we're so gallantly streaming, and the rockets red glare, the bombs bursting. That our flag was still there. Who say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land free and the hope for the brave?
There's a sign over there that says, "Sorry, Canada, we hate him too."
Stand beside her and guide her to the light from above, on the mountains, through the berries, to the oceans, wide as God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America.
No, but it is only 2:03. People are still logging in.
I didn't realize that those were so rich sounding, the smaller ones. Is that good?
Yeah.
I don't remember that song as well.
California to the New York Islands,
the redwood forest, to the Gulf Stream waters. This land was made for you and me. That's our home.
Yeah.
That river of highways, that's our love. And this highways, that's our love. This land was made for you and me. And it's your land. This land is California to the New York Islands, from redwood forests to the Gulf Stream waters. This land is me. All right. If anyone has a great sign they want to get behind just for, the pictures, that's great. No kings. 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 All right. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Joe, for leading us in here. Really happy to have you all here. So my name is Allison. I'm from Waldo County. And I'm here today for two reasons. First, because I love my country. And secondly, because I love my kids. And I think that both of those things are worth showing up and fighting for. I've been inspired by those who have shown up here over the last month, who have organized, who have spoken, and who have chanted and made music
I want to thank all the folks at Maine Resists who rallied their collective energies to host 2 awesome events this February. And I want to thank all of those former protesters turned organizers who I've been working with for taking up the torch and making today's event possible. I also want to thank the Capitol Police for being out here today and keeping everyone safe. We've got some great speakers lined up for today. We're going to do our best to fill the time that we have scheduled here. And we're thankful for some warmer weather this time around. So before we introduce our first speaker, I'd like to take a moment to talk about why we're here today. This isn't the first time that I've felt scared for my country or in my country.
Yep.
The Oklahoma City bombing happened in '95 when I was 6. The next year, the Centennial Olympic Park bombing happened in my home state of Georgia. I was 10 years old when the Columbine High School shooting occurred, and it was just a couple of years later when the Twin Towers fell on 9/11. Then we went to war with Afghanistan and Iraq, and nothing really felt safe anymore. Not going to school, or the mall, or a concert, not getting on a plane. I remember the popular phrase, "We don't let the terrorists win." As a kid, that scared me, because it meant that we had to be brave every single day doing ordinary things. And frankly, that feeling has never really changed for me. So nothing really feels safe, and yet we've always carried on like normal. And now, terrorists have tried to keep us from coming together here today.
Right.
Not the Middle Eastern terrorists or teenage boys with AR-15s that I was so scared of as a kid, but our own president, via his right-hand man and an emboldened league of domestic and foreign online trolls. They are mostly online. On President's Day, Elon Musk tweeted, "Spoiled Fridays across the country are protesting America's golden age. Brats like them should go to prison." Meanwhile, Steve Bannon suggested that the J6 choir should play at the Kennedy Center. The hypocrisy is wild. We all know that our intention is to gather within our rights, to make our voices heard, and to rally around our common cause. We're here today to stand tall and united for democracy, for our collective human and civil rights, for the right to free speech and assembly, and to demand adherence to the Constitution and rule of law. We don't need to get in anyone's face. We're here to listen to each other. We're here to urge the legislature not to cede the power of its branch, but for each congressperson and senator to find the courage to put country above self and uphold their oath of office. An oath to defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic. We know that anyone who would come here today to disrupt our cause with destruction or violence stands in direct opposition to our movement. And in fact demonstrates the very need and justification for our assembly. We have no fight with our neighbors, with those living and working in rather than above or below our civil society. We're here today to stand in solidarity against anti-democratic forms of government not just with each other, but with our brothers and sisters across the country and in many other parts of the world. The rise of oligarchs, dictatorial, and fascist regimes worldwide right now is scary. But we're all here because we've got things worth showing up and fighting for. Things that we're not ready to give up on yet. Like our country and our kids' futures. We don't expect our Congress or our judges or our governors to go down without a fight. And we won't either. Thank you all so much for being here today. I'm going to ask now that we give a little bit more room to the speaker's podium so that people can come up and use the space. But if the folks behind me want to just kind of move off to the side and still be back here, that's awesome. We have our first speaker, Kim Moody, from Disability Rights Maine.
Thank you all for being here. Thank you, Allison. That was tremendous. And thank you for coming. We just got to keep growing our numbers. Finding our individual and collective courage.
Weekdays
right
midday
now
is
is
tough.
vital.
I'm surprised there's
It's
this many people
essential.
here, honestly,
Yeah.
even as important
Courage
as it
to
is.
me is about taking action while remaining hopeful for the future, regardless of the challenges we face from those in power. Remember, courage is not the absence of fear and despair, but courage really is the strength and the power to overcome both of those. Courage can take many forms. It might look like today, participating in peaceful protests. Or it might look like speaking up publicly against the vast misinformation that we hear. Or it could be standing up to the cancel culture that keeps telling us, or is telling us to stop promoting policies having to do with equity, diversity, and justice. In the face of where our elected leaders are trying to take our country today, we must fight hard now to uphold the principles of democracy. This means that we must have the courage to not only adhere to our own personal values, but to act upon them. So yes, I am the executive.
Did you see the
director of
sign, 5 things I did today from Donald
You
Trump?
Yes.
have been fighting for disability justice right here in this town for the last 38 years. And really my whole life. But today I am not here as that person. I am here as Kim Moody. I am taking vacation time, so that you all know. And I'm here acting out my values, like all of you are. And guess what? My pronouns are she, her, hers. Sorry. Like all of you, I believe in freedom. And I recognize that I've had the great luxury of living free for the last 63 years. But I don't take that for granted anymore. I think that freedom is in jeopardy now. So I think we need to be more courageous now than ever. I think we need to be lions for our children and our grandchildren and for 7 generations. We must not accept their rhetoric that we are un-American, that we are unpatriotic. The opposite is true. It is, in fact, the very essence of patriotism to be these loud voices standing up for our state, for our country, for all of humankind, and for our planet. To speak out and speak up takes more courage today than it ever has in my memory. But we must fuel our courage with the knowledge that by speaking out, We are doing what is truly expected of someone who loves their country.
Do you see that sign there? It says, no kings except
I
Angus.
know that the challenges we face now are way beyond what we even dreamed or expected, and they are very real. In this political climate, the challenges are far worse than what was the mere, now, polarization and controversy in our lives. People's health, well-being, freedoms, and their very lives are under threat. So we must maintain and grow our courage, because we also must renew our convictions, because our convictions, the convictions that brought everybody here today, are really what allow us to step up and to speak out in the ways that we must now in order to save our country. Courage inspires collective action and solidarity, reminding us that we are not alone, like we're all feeling. We are not alone in these struggles. When we come together, our collective courage leads to change. We must now advocate for what is right. We must resist. We shall overcome. I'd like to introduce my dear friend Alice, who is going to lead us in a beautiful song. I think you'll know this song, but I'll help you out as we go along through university. We shall overcome. We shall overcome. We shall overcome someday. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe that we shall overcome someday. We are not alone. We are not alone. We are not alone. We are not alone today. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe that we are not alone today. We shall live in peace. We shall live in peace. We shall live in peace. We shall live in peace someday. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe that we shall live in peace someday. Okay, one more verse, guys. Let's do We Will All Fight Back. And that is these days. We will all fight back. We will all fight back. We will all fight back these days. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe that we will overcome today.
Not a bad job considering as cold as it is.
Yeah.
I'd like to invite our next speaker onto the stage. His name is Greg Marley. He's with the Knox County Democrats. Thank you.
Hi.
What a handsome bunch of group. So, my name is Greg Marley. I live in Rockland. And I've been a part of Maine for about 44 years so far. And I wouldn't want to live anywhere else. Louder. I can do that. I'm going to start with democracy at peril. And I'm someone who sits here and I can't do nothing. And I want to acknowledge the deep gratitude. I think we're losing this. The work that Em and her crew have put together to put this together. They have threatening manner, and we need to speak them step of the way. Who's got the bullhorn? I'm too tall. I think, let's see, if I can get out of the wind in this. I don't think so.
Yeah, it's the batteries going in it.
Oh, wait, it's gonna have to get more sign. There you go. Now, other side. Please.
All right, let's get on those.
Thank you, Suze.
So, I remember
Okay.
I was arrested and feeling incredibly depressed,
See what I mean about the wind through here?
Yeah.
totally like saying, what am I going to do? And I find myself where for the election, I was knocking on doors, I was calling out the vote, I was really supportive, had such clear distinctions between who the candidates were. I felt like I didn't know the country I lived in after November 5th. And part of me was saying, you know, if this is who you want, if this is who you choose, then you deserve the carnage that happens. But then I looked around and I saw how that was affecting the society that I love, and I said, I've got to do something. How can I bring back a sense of hope? And I turned to some volunteering in my own community, Dems. I wrote, continued to out and call to my officials. I attended the protest here on the February, on the 17th of February, and I got to say it's a hell of a lot warmer today. And I've attended some of the work the great group City is doing in the Rockland area. And so, this is groups that are with. We are all angry. We are all angry, and we are all freaking out. Threats to ourselves, our families, and friends, everyone of our circle of friends, our country. I fear for the health of our democracy. I fear threats on our freedom. And I assure you, hey, they want us in frozen. They want us afraid. They will turn their eye on us. And they want us distracted, less powerful. Distracted by the attacks on immigrants, blacks, and all people of color, people with disabilities, those who are pregnant, having for a family, or anybody who doesn't know. And that serves as dividing us, othering. I mean, come on. Infants eating my cats? Who's this shit?
Literally.
You were right there and I was earlier, right? Yeah, but I
It's distracted and frozen while they systematically destroy our democracy. They want to scare,
bunch of flags out here.
keep shock and distracted and frozen Christians, hands deep into our pockets. Country of money. Oh yes, more money.
Yeah, follow the money! Follow the money!
It's benefiting
Yeah, follow the money!
and so far,
Put the mic down and yell.
the House of Representatives judiciary. And as much as I daily encourage them to grow a pair of gumption and find their voice, their power, I see that that's not working. And I do want to shout out
Somebody brought a megaphone.
let's try this.
Loud and clear!
I think we're doing fine. We got a better speaker. So I want to shout out. All right. I'm going to go back a paragraph of request. I want to, so far, this administration and their Doge bag soldiers have been successful in freezing the voices of the Senate, the voices of the House, and the judiciary. And as much as I call upon them daily and encourage them to grow a pair of gumptions and find their own voice and their own power, I see it's not working. Though I do want to shout out to Janet Mills. That woman has a pair. She's one of the few senior national elected figures that is pushed back. As we know, during her work with LePage, she's at her best when facing a bully. So, like Governor Mills, my fellow outraged citizens, we cannot afford to be frozen. We cannot allow ourselves and our friends to freeze under intimidation and threats of violence. So that means the solution is up to us. Each one of us and all of us together. We the people. We the people.
Citizens
That is how this
United!
country was founded. We the people. And here today, I know, what the hell, I'm preaching to the converted. You're here with your outrage shining out, and your numbers speak volumes and keep growing. And I'm asking you today to invite, to encourage, to extol, to beg, to berate your family, your friends, your neighbors to join us, to become one with we the people. One with us on the front lines, and yes, they are front lines of what unfortunately is going to become more heated and more dangerous as we, the people, grow in numbers and threaten the onward.
That's right!
So I think that each one of us is here because we felt like we need to step forward. We need to spread that movement. So what am I doing here? Me, somewhat older, privileged, cis, white male. At heart, I'm a mushroom. I'm an expert in mental health and suicide prevention. But this moment calls on all of us. Fortunately, I have some time and some energy to devote in this direction. This is where I need to be. So, and as people have asked me often, where are the younger people? And look around. Some of them are standing and many, like my 30-year-old son, don't have the flexibility in their work schedule to be here on school. And yet they're doing it themselves. They're doing it themselves. But we need to invite them. We need to encourage them all to be here, to find ways to join this movement. Because I'm not speaking yet. Hold on. Those of us who have the wisdom of age, who've been through a few more skirmishes over the years, we need to support the youth in their sense of hope. Hope that there is going to be a better future. Do you remember the 70s? The late 60s, how dark that felt? It's gotten better. Now it's getting worse. So, this past Saturday, I had a glimpse of hope. I was at a rally that was organized by the Audacity in Rockland. And I was helping lead the tail end of this procession up to the courthouse as they were crossing the street. And I recognized two people I know, Bill and Judith Jones. In their 80s, now living in assisted living because Bill can no longer see very well. And yet, they had left their assisted living. They got there, they met in the place where we were singing songs, and they walked all the way that quarter mile up to the courthouse, and they walked all the way back. And at the end of it, Bill was looking around, he says, "Where's the press? Why isn't somebody filming this?" And he says, "Next week, we're going to bring a van for Corey Hill to be here." So if the man who can't see to walk across the street can make it 3 towns over to a rally, there's not a lot of room for excuses. So, because it's going to take all of us. I'm called upon to meet the moment, and I've got some privilege to step up and make a difference. How will we look back in a decade if we haven't done this? And review the actions we took and the actions we didn't take in 2025. So, what can we do? For me, I'm going to keep doing what I can, push myself to do a bit more, while holding those close who I love, and while keeping to do the things that refill my well. So yeah, I'm going to keep mushrooming. I'm going to reach out to folks like my brother Steve, whose anxiety has kept him from being active. And I called him this morning, I said, "Steve, you need to do more." He says, "I can write a check." I said, "You can write a check, you can write letters, you can do a lot, and it's up to all of us." Because as the song said, it is power to the people. And today I think we all have much to learn and great gratitude for those who worked and persevered through the civil rights movement. And the song that we sang, "We Shall Overcome," that's where I was right now. We shall overcome, because it's up to each one of us as we the people to do this. We shall overcome.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Greg, and thank you for your flexibility. I don't know that everyone in the crowd really knows and understands, but this is a protest organized by the citizens. We are not affiliated with a larger organization. We don't have staff. We're all taking our free time to volunteer and make this happen. And
Yeah, we are too.
Resourceful, so we did bring multiple sound systems, and thankfully we did, because that was really needed. And I think that's a really proper segue to our next speaker, who is Emily, and who is one of the other organizers of this protest.
Hi everyone, my name is Emily. I'm originally from Wales, Maine,
Yes! That was from Wales. That's awesome. I'm Melanie Belfast, and I want to thank you all for coming out here today. I work full-time too, so those of you who came here, took time off, made a priority to be here today, we're so grateful to have you here. So this is an incredible signal. To have this many people out here on Tuesday is an incredible signal. People in this building can support us. I'm just really, really happy to see you here. So first, I want to acknowledge the incredible talent and empathy we have in this group here today. There are nurses here, there are EMTs,
sign with the red tie.
there's pro bono lawyers, there's teachers, there's volunteers, there's civil servants. And as a group, you are people who... Farmers, yeah. And as a group, you are people who have dedicated your lives to looking out for your neighbors and your communities, and maintaining a stability that allows the people of Maine to trust in tomorrow. We all here know those systems are not perfect, and that the ones that do the most good have never been funded adequately to help all the people who need them, but that's the beauty of people like you. As a group, you not only keep those services running, you keep pushing for them to do better. And as someone who grew up poor in rural Androscoggin County, I would not be alive today if it were not for the people who worked in those programs. We've been throwing around a lot of acronyms in our conversations in the last 6 weeks. WIC, CHIP, KEEP, all necessary and critical services, especially in rural Maine. All services that allowed my brother and I to survive childhood here. To me, those life-saving services are not bureaucracies, they are you. When I asked my dad the other day to confirm what government programs we had been on when I was a kid, he didn't name programs, he named people. 40 years later, he still remembers the names of those who spent hours helping a poor young couple from rural Androscoggin County with 2 kids navigate poverty so that it didn't crush them, and then help them navigate their way out of poverty. And I'm not only alive today because of people like you, I'm fulfilled. You taught me that caring for your neighbors and community is daunting and underfunded as it can be sometimes is the most powerful thing a person can do. That caring cannot be defunded, it cannot be fired, and it cannot be dismantled. And because of people like you, I now have a small business where I can spend all day helping my neighbors get stronger, which is an incredible privilege. I was struggling with what to say today because my hope has flagged a lot this week. And then I remembered who I'd be talking to today. You, a group of people I've seen a couple times now, but new faces as well. And a group of people that has chosen to spend their time and to devote extraordinary intelligence and energy to showing others that they matter, and that they are worthy of investment from their community and from their country, proving to them that Maine and America are better with them. And so if everyone can just take a second to look around them, I want you to look at the faces of the other people that are here around you today. There have been days in the past 6 weeks when hope has flagged for all of us. There will be more days like that. Caring about other people, especially in times like these, can be powerful but also incredibly lonely work. And when those days happen, I want you to remember being in this group today. I want you to remember the faces of the people around you and remind yourself that this is only a fraction of the people in Maine who are dedicated to helping others and who stand with you. And as daunting as the odds might seem, together we are stronger than anything they can throw at us. Because at the end of the day, we have this. My being alive right now, my younger brother, who is born with complex health challenges, being alive right now is proof that when you all work together, you can even beat death. So I urge you, when those dark days happen, remember who you are. Remember who stands with you. And remember what you've already fought and won.
Thank you so much, Emily. I'm so glad to have gotten to meet Emily and get to work with her to make this day possible. It's been so encouraging. I'd like to introduce another Emily right now. Emily spoke last time.
take over that for a minute.
That was very moving, so we're really happy that you joined us again. She is already here at the public hearing happening next door, so we'll start. Emily, too! Person is not where you stand in the moments of comfort and convenience, but where you stand during the times of challenge and controversy. Democracy is crumbling before our very eyes. The rights we once held dear have been reduced to echoes in the wind. We are seeing ignorance paired with power, the most ferocious enemy justice could ever encounter. We need to remind ourselves the power of the people is stronger than the people in power. This is why the wealthy sows hatred and fear into our hearts. We start placing the frustration of our hardships on the backs of the undeserving, rather than the ones oppressing us. We must terminate our need to fight amongst ourselves and instead fight the powers that be. It is not Democrat versus Republican. It is not the left versus the right. It is the rich versus the poor. That's right! Yeah! The ears of our neighbors will be deafened and their eyes closed if we arrive clothed in blankets of aggression and hate. Our friends, family, and community need an understanding that is not just limited to those who share the beliefs as us. Every single human being on earth was born with a predetermined socioeconomic background, culture, value system, family structure, and religious upbringing and lack thereof. That's right. I'd like to take a moment to speak in the ways of which empathy and understanding have changed my life. I was born here in Augusta, Maine, but I was raised in the Deep South, the Bible Belt. My mother was a pastor, and I attended church with a congregation of 3,000 people 3 to 4 times a week. To receive validation and support, there was a price, and I paid with Christian devotion and conservative belief. The ideology that formed me was based in homophobia, transphobia, bigotry, and ignorance. But as I stand before you today, as an atheist, queer, non-binary leftist, I was found in a group of friends who showed me compassion when I did not deserve it. They gave me patience in the midst of my ignorance. They loved me in a way that allowed me to finally love myself. They gave me the freedom to be who I am and not who I was told to be. My authentic, shameless existence would have never seen the light of day if it weren't for the kindness of a group of queer leftists. They didn't see me as a conservative Christian. Instead, they saw me for my humanity. No one is born hating another person. It is taught. They most certainly can be taught to love. This eternal cycle of hate will only be broken by love and compassion. But let me make one thing abundantly clear. Billionaires, the top 1%, the corporate elite, they do not deserve our empathy. They do not deserve our kindness. They are no victims of happenstance. They are parasites who thrive off the exploitation of everyday Americans. They find joy in your inability to escape the system that is crushing you. So take your daggers and rage and point them at the ones who exploit you. The Trump administration has wasted no time dismantling every system that upholds the structure of our society. Trump single-handedly appointed 13 billionaires into our government. These 13 people have seen their wealth increase by $217 billion since Trump's second term. The U.S. House of Representatives passed a budget giving $4.5 trillion in tax cuts for the top 1% to offset an overwhelming amount of government agencies. Meanwhile, 60% of Americans are still living paycheck to paycheck.
I have a second one somewhere.
And homelessness continues to grow. If there's a single Trump supporter listening, I need you to hear me when I say this. Actions speak louder than words. Look at what he is doing. Right. Under the instruction of Elon Musk, they have laid off over 2,400 VA workers and counting. This includes the termination of veterans who are employed by the VA. This includes those who run the VA crisis hotline. Our veterans deserve the best care possible. Administrators reported an 82% shortage of clinical workers. Support veterans. 1,000 employees at our national parks, 2,000 at the Department of Energy, and 3,400 people at the U.S. Forest Service have been terminated. They want to lay off 65% of employees at the Environmental Department Agency. That is 10,000 people.
So our question to them should be, when the last tree is cut, when the last stream is poisoned and the air is no longer breathable, will you realize you cannot eat money? The administration is actively cutting funding to Medicaid. 1 in 5 Americans are on Medicaid. That is 72 million people. This includes 50% of children in America, 30% of adults with mental health issues, and 1 in 3 people with disabilities. Not to mention 40% of all births in America are paid for by Medicaid. I've said it before and I will say it again, health care is a human right. The suicide hotline, the IRS, the CDC, the Social Security Administration, the Department of Education, and the list goes on and on. Immigrants are not stealing your jobs. Elon Musk is doing it.
Technically, he's an illegal immigrant. So.
Hurt breeds fear, fear builds walls, walls separate us, and division will kill us all. We are looking at an unethical, ruthless deportation of millions of innocent people. It is so completely absurd to criminalize individuals based on their geographical location of their birthplace. No one is illegal on stolen land. We have the right to be ripped from our hands. Since the overturning of Roe v. Wade, 17 states have banned abortion or severely restricted it. Maternal and infant death rates in these states have increased significantly. Do not for a second think that just because you are in a blue state, your rights won't be extinguished too. And if the pain that a childbearing person feels too foreign for your comprehension, you should have no say in what happens with their womb. Our bleeding bodies are not your battleground. 9 states have gone to the Supreme Court to try and overturn gay marriage. If my love is a sin, I will walk into hell clothed in rainbows and filled with pride. Rejoice in how I cheated God, because I have experienced heaven on earth without ever stepping a foot inside. You cannot pray away the gay, you can try and outlaw us, but we have always existed. Our love cannot be extinguished by their hate. In recent days, the state of Maine has been threatened that if we don't unconstitutionally erase trans people from sports, we will lose all of our federal funding. When injustice becomes law, resistance becomes a duty. The vicious attack on trans people in this country is morally abhorrent and never ending. They have banned trans people from the military. They are invalidating trans existence via passports and government IDs. They are working with those in charge of federal prisons to move the 2,000 trans women that are currently in custody to a men's prison. This will end in rape, violence, and most likely the murder of trans women. They are suspending any means to change gender markers on federal documents. They are making it harder and harder to get access to trans health care every day. Gender-affirming care is suicide prevention. Trans people are important and their lives matter. Trans kids deserve to become trans adults. To any trans person in this crowd today, you are not a burden. You deserve safety, you deserve joy, you deserve love, you deserve respect, and you deserve justice. Your advocacy needs to be louder than their hate. The suffocation from the fumes of fascism fueled by this presidency is exhausting. Hopelessness, despair, and rage riddle our bones. The thought of dismantling a system that was broken in its conception is daunting, to say the least. So where do we begin? First, you cannot pour from an empty cup. Your fight is diminished when you put yourself last. Prioritize your peace and try to find joy in the midst of all this misery. Our joy in and of itself is an act of resistance. Support locally owned businesses. Support queer, black, and immigrant-owned businesses. Share their posts, leave reviews, and amplify them. Participate in the economic blackouts being facilitated all around the country. We need to stop lining the pockets of billionaires and put money back into our own communities. Get a library card. Libraries have so much to offer. They give resources to marginalized communities. They share access to information. They cultivate a safe space to learn, study, or socialize. Stand up for what is right, even if it means that you are standing alone in your workplace, in public, behind closed doors, in your relationships, with your family. Don't remain neutral. Hold your representatives accountable. They work for us, not the other way around. Participate in legislation. Those are being passed every day, and you can give written, in-person, or virtual testimony to the legislatures passing these bills. Participate in gatherings like the one we are all a part of right now. Protest is not just the presence of individuals holding signs making their voices heard. It is every single thing I have mentioned and more. Perfection is not what we are striving for. Remember, we are all on the same team. Unity is not made in uniformity. We have strength in our diversity. We must learn to live together as siblings, or we will perish as fools. We cannot be so hyper-focused on all of us being at 100% of agreement on everything. Doing so will make us stagnant. Don't let anyone discredit your version of protest. Rosa Parks wouldn't give up her seat. Marsha P. Johnson participated in the Stonewall riots. John Lewis helped organize the March on Washington. Audre Lorde used her poetry as a platform to fight oppression. They all played a role. Activism takes many forms. Any act of resistance will help our cause. I will end by saying this. We are the generation holding the burden of revolution, and we did not grow up reciting liberty and justice for all to ever stand for anything less.
No peace.
No justice.
No peace.
Wow. Thank you, Emily. One of the great there's so much ground to cover, and what a bang-up job of hitting all of the notes.
Pretty much.
I think this is a good time to introduce our next speaker. Coming into this protest, and since we've started protesting since the Trump administration has taken back office, there's been a lot of talk about violence, about counter-protesting, about safety, and I think it's a good time for us to remember some of the lessons that we've learned in the past. I'd like to invite Ned onto the stage. Hi, Ned! Hi, everybody.
Hi, Ned!
Wow, this is awesome. So many people here, and I want to thank you all for coming. It has been a whirlwind these last 8 days throwing this all together. I really want to thank Allison for all of her hard
Do you want to
work.
hold that? I kind of want to get up there to get the whole situation. I'll be back. Just watch my drink. Excuse me. Sorry. Excuse me. Sorry. Excuse me. Sorry.
So I wanted to share with you guys today.
Sorry. Excuse me.
I am everywhere. That is a fact.
That is why Gandhi said that cowardice is the only alternative that is better than fire. The way of nonviolent resistance is it's not a method of stagnant passivity. While the nonviolent resistor is passive in a sense, physically aggressive. His mind and his emotions are always active, constantly seeking for freedom. Violence seeks to defeat injustice.
Excuse me. Excuse me. Sorry.
Excuse me. Justice, the nonviolent resistor has the
Excuse me. Sorry.
basic tension is not between the races.
Excuse me. Sorry.
The tension is, at bottom, between justice and injustice, between the forces of light and the forces of darkness. We are out to defeat injustice.
I walked all the way down there.
White persons who may be unjust.
Can we hold
Number
it?
4.
Okay.
Okay.
Nonviolence holds that suffering can educate and transform. Nonviolent resistance requires a willingness to accept suffering without retaliation, to accept blows from the opponent without striking back. The nonviolent resistor is willing to accept violence if necessary, but never to inflict it. He does not seek to dodge jail. If going to jail is necessary, he enters it as a bridegroom enters the bride's chamber. Number 5. Nonviolence chooses love instead of hate. Nonviolent resistance avoids not only external physical violence, but also internal violence of spirit. The nonviolent resistor not only refuses to shoot his opponent, but he also refuses to hate him. At the center of nonviolence stands the principle of love. The nonviolent resistor would contend that in the struggle for human dignity, the oppressed people of the world must not succumb to the temptation of becoming bitter or indulging in hate campaigns. To retaliate in kind would do nothing but intensify the existence of hate in the universe. Along the way of life, someone must have sense enough and morality enough to cut the chain of hate. This can only be done by projecting the ethic of love to the center of our lives.
I forgot I had it on video. I had to take it off video.
Good job.
Number 6. Nonviolence believes that the universe is on the side of justice. Nonviolent resistance is based on the conviction that the universe is on the side of justice. Consequently, the believer in nonviolence has deep faith in the future. This faith is another reason why the nonviolent resistor can accept suffering without retaliation. For he knows that in his struggle for justice, he has cosmic companionship. It is true that there are devout believers in nonviolence who find it difficult to believe in a personal God. But even these persons believe in the existence of some creative force that works for universal wholeness. Whether we call it an unconscious process, an impersonal Brahman, or a personal being of matchless power, of infinite love, there is a creative force in this universe that works to bring the disconnected aspects of reality into a harmonious whole. So, if you ask me, everybody, that harmonious whole is right here, right now, with all of you. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Ned. So I'm really happy to announce that we have a special guest coming up, Will Mills. He's a singer, so I'm going to turn off this mic, and we're going to make sure that his mic is set up.
Can you hear me out there? Skipping a little bit. No? Okay, we're going to turn this one off. Sorry about that. Alright, my name's Will Niels. I'm from Appleton, Maine. And I just got to admit to you, the last 10 years of my life, I haven't really been involved in any social organizing or anything like that because I've been doing my band. You know, we're in Augusta County with the Midnight Riders, and we're dedicated to smugglers, pirates, and outlaws. And we sing songs about Maine and Maine culture with an unrepentant attitude. And that's really important, you know, if you want to actually change anything, if you want to make community stronger and better, you have to be unrepentant about it, because begging and getting down on your knees and praying for somebody to help you rarely works. So this is a song that somebody wrote a long time ago. 61 years ago, a guy named Sam Cooke, he heard these Bob Dylan songs called Blowing in the Wind, and the chimes they were changing, and he thought, damn, if a kid can write songs like that, I should write a song that talks about my people and our struggle. And though he died in '65. This song, he recorded it and he released it, and so it's there for all of us. And it's important for us to remember in times like this when things are sort of dark and the sky seem very, very particularly ominous, that one of the things that we've always used for thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of years, if you don't believe this, read Dancing in the Street by Barbara Ehrenreich, and she talks about why they repressed carnivals and why they repressed festivals, because for thousands of years that's how our people all over the world came together and was able to persevere through dark times. It's how they survived the Dark Ages, literally. So learn from that as part of our history. This song is there for all of us to carry us forward through these days. Remember, community is what we make of it. And this is called The Change Is Gonna Come. In a little town, and just like that river I've been rolling ever since. It's been a long time coming, oh, but I know a change gonna come. Yes, it will. Yes, it will. It's been too long living.
Oh my god, there's a dog right over there that has on top of the leash, it says "Untrump the world."
Beyond the sky. It's been a long time coming, oh, but I know a change gonna come. Yes, it will. Yes, it will. Oh, I go to the movies and I go downtown, and somebody keeps telling me, boy, why you hang around. Oh, it's been a long time coming, oh, but I know a change gonna come. Yes, it will. Yes, it will. And I go to my brother and I say, brother, can you help me, please? But he winds up knocking me back down on my knees. There were times I didn't think I could last for long, but now I found the strength to carry on. It's been a long time coming, but I know a change gonna come. Yes, it will. Yes, it will. Do not allow fear into your hearts. Remember, the bootlicking servants of corporate America and these useless goddamn billionaires did that first. And it was that fear that they let in their hearts that made them insecure and made them scared and made them want an answer from Big Daddy who's going to protect them. And we know that's bullshit. The only thing that ever is going to protect us is ourselves and our neighbors and our goddamn community. So let's remember that. And when those Americans come here with their fear, let's kick them right back over that damn river.
Awesome. Thank you, Will. Really glad to get to meet you today as well. So I want to just usher a couple of people that we have on the speakers list to kind of make their way towards the stage here, so to speak, so that we can get you lined up. If we have Jim from the Mid-Coast Socialist Coalition and Ethan from the Possibility Alliance, and you want to make your way towards the stage, we'll get you on soon. And I would like to go ahead and introduce another one of our organizers here today, who I've been really lucky to meet just in the past 2 weeks and get connected with, and has been a real inspiration to me, and that is Marsha.
I can't believe we're all here. So you're all here, we're all standing together, united. United? It's my mic, and I don't know how to use it. Is this better? So, a lot of people before me have already said what I wanted to say, and it's about courage. And it takes courage to be here. And it's inspiring. So, just take a moment, see each other, honor the determination of all of us standing here together, trying to reset the moral compass towards goodness, because God has run amok. Respect, kindness, and the rule of law that has provided this country with, albeit a precarious pathway for hope, that humanity at some time, and hopefully now, can do the right thing. Last January, like a year ago, January 2024, the word for my year was going to be calm. I was going to be calm.
That's funny.
Okay, I am not calm. Are you calm?
No.
No amount of mindfulness is going to lull me into calm. I've decided that's okay. In fact, when you feel passionate, it's even good to forego the calm and just think for a minute or two. Always stop and think, please. You know what is right and just. You all know what's right and just. And then take action. Next, let me say, I'm a non-religious Jew, and I am disgusted by the genocide being committed in Gaza. I am horrified that this is being done by other Jews. Part of my heritage as a Jew is a short little story, but it changed my life. My great-uncle Morris survived the concentration camps. My father fought in World War II. The story Uncle Morris told a bunch of us little 6-, 7-, and 8-year-old children all gathered in his home in 1960 by rolling up his sleeve and showing us his tattoo was haunting. We were just little kids, and it stayed with me forever. And then a few years later, I asked Uncle Morris, why didn't the Jews fight back? I was about 10 by then. He was a scary guy. But he lowered his head, took my hands, and said it was too late by the time we realized what was happening. They were already loading us on trains or murdering us in the streets or in our homes. I still get choked up. So I'm going to skip parts of this because it's already been said. But lastly, courage is often contagious and empowering. Speak up, be present, be kind. Non-violent acts of resistance are all courageous acts. Let's inspire all the people in these buildings and all the people in Washington and all the people everywhere else to look into their hearts, to reset their moral compasses to good, find their courage to act and speak truth to power. Yes, truth to power. Let's end this coup, and thank you so much.
Thank you, Marcia. I really think that story is so powerful about remembering that we're here because we're not going to wait until it's too late. We're going to fight right now. We see the writing on the wall, and we're going to put a stop to things before it's too late. Never again. Absolutely. Never again.
Never again.
Never again.
Never again.
Never again.
Never again.
Thank you. I'm going to introduce Ethan to the stage for just a minute, and then...
Hey, everybody. Let me hear you say love.
Love!
Let me hear you say justice.
Justice!
Kindness.
Kindness!
Power. couple wonderful organizers from Chicago. Her name is Miriam Kaba. Miriam Kaba says that all organizing is based on relationship. So I want to take a moment to try to build a beloved community. I want you to find someone you don't know and just each take a minute and just share the essence of why are you here today? What are you standing up for? What are you dedicated to? So you got 2 minutes. Find someone you don't know. Introduce yourself.
I'm going with you, Dad.
I'm here for her and my grandkids.
I'm here for my children too.
Yeah.
My children, my grandchildren.
Yep.
So, I'm just a popsicle right now.
Yeah. She's a pop.
Where are you folks from?
Arousing.
Where's that?
Bath. You know where Bath is?
Oh, yeah.
Well, that's a little island just off of Bath.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you've been to Reed State Park, you've crossed it,
Yeah.
but you blink and you miss it.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's,
Kind of like a lot of towns in Maine.
yeah. Yep.
Well, thank you for coming today.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Now, believe it or not, I spent the majority of my life as a Republican working here.
Did you?
Yes, I did. And in 2016, I was so pissed off by everything that was happening. I didn't recognize it anymore. And I started trying to dismantle it from within. And it didn't work, so I left and about 2 years later joined the Democrats. So,
Well,
you know.
I'm glad you saw the light.
I've always been socially on the liberal side, but I'm very fiscally conservative. And,
My dad was a
you know,
Republican,
so,
and, you know,
yeah.
it was never an issue. You could always
Yeah.
talk about it. Community. That's what it's all about.
I spent my life as a firefighter EMT, so I've always been into helping people.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, that's awesome.
yeah. No, I was stuck. I grew up in a very Republican family. My dad was appointed by like 3 different governors that were Republicans for different jobs. So, you know, I grew up in that building. So
Yeah, we were walking up and he's like, I was in there.
I was in that office right there.
Who'd you say you used to bug?
Oh, I used to go to the Speaker of the House's office all the time and bug him when Martin up to Eagle Lake. Yep. He and my dad were good friends. Hey, you started it.
As if it were possible to radically transform the world, and you have to do it all the time. It's an invitation. We need to up the risk every single moment.
Hi, Nurse Sherwood.
We need to resist. We need to build a beloved community. And let's give one more call out. Let's hear love.
Love. Power. Kindness. Revolution! Woo!
Thank you so much, Ethan. Ethan is one of the folks here who's helping to provide security for this event, and is also just a really awesome person that I've gotten to meet very recently. And I love that we all got to experience a little bit of the community that we're building here with that moment. It's always really nice to get to know the people that we're standing next to and fighting and having our voices heard with. So I hope that my next speaker is somewhat close by. I'm really excited to be able to announce that we have the Belfast Poet Laureate here today, Maya Stein. She's making her way to the stage. And she's going to be reciting a poem. I don't have the title, so she's going to have to share that with us. Thank you. Wow.
I don't know who's watching, but hi.
In one place, and hearing so many incredible stories and voices. When I was invited to come and speak today, I thought, why me? I'm not a loud person. Usually I'm not a protester. I wouldn't consider myself an activist in that way. And I spent the last week trying to identify why am I here. And last night I had this kind of epiphany. And I was thinking about other circumstances and other environments, other places where I've not quite known what my job is, what my role is, how to show up, what to say, how to be, what my location is, not even knowing sort of where I am. And I was thinking about the first year or two of becoming a step parent of 2 preteen boys. And talk about being out of your element. They had a mother, they had a father. I wasn't going to replace anybody. So it took me a little time to identify what I was supposed to do and how to be. And I came upon an answer of sorts in the form of cookies. I love to bake. They love to eat. So this is what I did for the first 2 years of my step-parenting role, was make cookies. And I guess the point of saying that is we all have a way in. We all have a role to play. It's not the same role. And it's okay if it's a quiet role. And I just invite everyone to think about all the ways in which we each show up and how we are with each other. So I'm going to share a poem in that spirit. It's a poem called Gate A4. It takes place in an airport. It's by the Palestinian-American poet Naomi Shiad Noe. And it's got cookies in it. Gate A4. Wandering around the Albuquerque airport terminal after learning my flight had been delayed for hours, I heard an announcement. If anyone in the vicinity of Gate A4 understands any Arabic, please come to the gate immediately. Well, one pauses these days. Gate A4 was my own gate. I went there. An older woman in full traditional Palestinian embroidered dress, just like my grandma wore, was crumpled to the floor, wailing. Help, said the flight agent, talk to her. What is her problem? We told her the flight was going to be late and she did this. I stooped to put my arm around the woman and spoke haltingly. The minute she heard any word she knew, however poorly used, she stopped crying. She thought the flight had been canceled entirely. She needed to be in El Paso for major medical treatment the next day. I said, no, we're fine. You'll get there just later. Who's picking you up? Let's call him. She called her son. I spoke with him in English. I told him I would stay with his mother till we got on the plane and ride next to her. She talked to him. Then we called her other sons, just for the fun of it. Then we called my dad and he and she spoke for a while in Arabic and found out, of course, they shared 10 friends. And I thought, just for the heck of it, why not call some Palestinian poets I know and let them chat with her? This all took up 2 hours. She was laughing a lot by then, telling of her life, patting my knee, answering questions. She had pulled a sack of homemade mamoul cookies, little powdered sugar crumbly mounds stuffed with dates and nuts, from her bag, and was offering them to all the women at the gate. To my amazement, not a single woman declined one. It was like a sacrament. The traveler from Argentina, the mom from California, the lovely woman from Laredo, we were all covered with the same powdered sugar and smiling. There is no better cookie. And then the airline broke out free apple juice from huge coolers. And 2 little girls from our flight ran around serving it, and they were covered with powdered sugar too. And I noticed my new best friend, by now we were holding hands, had a potted plant poking out of her bag. Some medicinal thing with green furry leaves. Such an old country tradition. Always carry a plant. Always stay rooted to somewhere. And I looked around that gate of late and weary ones, and I thought, this is the world I want to live in. The shared world. Not a single person in that gate. Once the crying of confusion stopped, it seemed apprehensive about any other person. They took the cookies. I wanted to hug all those other women. This can still happen anywhere. Not everything is lost. Thank you so much.
Oh my God.
That you figured out why you were here today and that you came.
That's great. That is the best thing ever.
And introduce Will Mills again. He's got another song for us called Our Town.
Thank you so much. So, as I said, I mentioned my band, Midnight Riders and the Midnight Ramblers, and we're acoustic. If you like this song, then you might like other songs we do. This is a song about Maine. I wrote this in the winter of 16 into 17 because I realized that there was a danger that people would believe the shenanigans about immigrants, and I thought that's bull. And I realized that the real danger to Maine people and to our land here in Maine, as of course anybody who's listened to world leaders would know, is corporate executives who would have the temerity and amazing offensiveness to come here and pay off our select people and our town councilors to get access to our aquifers and then pump that water out of the ground and sell it back to us in plastic bottles. And that's actually the danger that Mainers face is anyone who will come here and steal our water. And if you don't believe water is important, 25 years ago, a guy named James Wolfowitz, who was the head of the World Bank, was quoted saying the next world war will be about
Can you hold
water.
that right there
Remember,
for a
ignorance is
minute?
bliss, but knowledge is power. You know, so that's what this song is about. It's about social regulation, which is when the people do what the state won't do. It's been happening a long time. It used to happen here in Maine. That's why they never really would let the federal representatives leave Augusta or the front country back in the late 1700s, early 1800s, because nobody liked the federal government. So they put muskets in their faces and drive them back to the water. You can read Liberty Men and Great Proprietors by Alan Taylor. It's a great book about that period in Maine history. We had a 30-year shooting war with the federal government that extended up till they made us a state in 1820. That's what it took to be able to get enough repression to get it to stop. So you know your history. There's an important history in this state, in this land. It's very crucial. This song, just a tribute to that, an acknowledgement that our culture and our community is what we make of it. They should be keeping that oil in the ground, keeping that oil in the ground, keeping that oil in the ground, and you better watch out if you come to my town. Better watch out if you come to my town. Better watch out if you come to my town. Better watch out if you come to my town. Cut that mask and reveal the crown. So we'll be keeping our frat gas in the ground, keeping our frat gas in the ground, keeping our frat gas in the ground, and you better watch out if you come to our town. Better watch out if you come to our town. Better watch out if you come to our town. Better watch out if you come to our town, or your office might get burnt down. We're keeping our water in the ground, keeping our water in the ground, keeping our water in the ground, and you better watch out if you come to our town. Better watch out if you come to our town. Better watch out if you come to our town. Better watch out if you come to our town, or you might end up deep in the ground. Back in the day, once a tar and leather, sell a little hot tar for the carpet bag's leather. Well, sure, it burns and it's hard to breathe, but you just wouldn't listen. Now it's time to read. Listen real close to what I say. Listen real close to what I say. Listen real close to what I say, or you could be bait in a trap out in the bay. So we'll be keeping our water in the ground, keeping our water in the ground, keeping our water in the ground, and you better watch out if you come to our town.
Can you pull on this with me?
Watch out if you come to our town. Better watch out if you come to our town.
Thank you. It was falling through.
Or you might end up deep in the ground. Testify on LD 226. If you haven't heard of it, that's the name of the legislative document. That's what they call it when they make a bill. And right now there's a bill to protect the 943 acres of Sears Island, which is the largest uninhabited island on the east coast of America, and it's owned by all of us. And for the last 30 years, I've dedicated different parts of my life to defending that island from the avarice and greed of the corporations and their servants in this state. And this year, for the first time ever, we have the chance to be able to permanently conserve the last 300 acres that the DOT and the rest of these money-grubbing greed heads want to exploit with a fake port. They want to build a fake port, and then when that fails, they want to take water and put it in tankers and sell it to the rest of the world. And we won't make any money off that, and we won't be able to grow food anymore either. So please consider testifying on LD 226, and it will permanently preserve our island for all of us, for all the generations, and in my opinion, equally importantly, for all the people in the Wabanaki who have been using that island for the 12 to 14,000
I think it's really important that we circle back to calls to action and make sure that we leave people with things that they can really do to make a difference in our community. And with that being said, I'd like to introduce Rachel Herbinger.
Perfect. Yeah, from Belfast, howdy. And this is a really old sign, I will tell you. So we have seen thousands and thousands of rallies and marches in the United States and around the world protesting this takeover. And where are our elected officials? So, okay, we know where Susan Collins is. God bless Bernie. We know where he is. Now, I don't know about Golden. Okay, so I mean, he was in the military and, I guess risked his life for what Trump, Musk is tearing apart.
Hi, Taylor.
He risked his life. He made a pledge, and now he is just sort of, I don't know, hanging out, not really pushing forward and anything. Okay, it's time to be a real hero. It is time to step up. It's like the people of the United States are stepping up a hell of a lot more than any of our elected officials. I will say thank you, Angus King. He gave a great speech. And it's really wonderful, too, because he is not seen as, like, a progressive like AOC or Bernie. He's this elder statesman. He seems to be well respected on both sides of the aisle, all sides of the aisle, I guess I should say. So what I am asking is a little project just to do today. If he attends the State of the Union address, or whatever it's called, tonight, I would ask that he stand up and turn his back to Trump when Trump is speaking. So this is a big ask. And I don't know if anyone else would join him. I don't know if the Democrats really have any plan of resistance going on into the State of the Union address. Yes, I think they are lame. So any rate, I am just asking people, you've got a few hours, call Angus King's office and ask him to turn his back on Trump. Ask him to do it, and I know that people are maybe gun shy like the Democrats, or like, well, look what might happen. Like what might happen to Maine because of, for instance, Janet Mills pushing back. Exactly. And Shannon Bellows, who was just following the law. Right. And we also have a great Attorney General, Aaron Fry, and he has already hit the ground running with other Attorney Generals. Okay, so I kind of think that we're already on Trump's shit list.
You think?
Let's just push it forward.
Yeah.
Thank you, Rachel. Appreciate that. So we have done a great job getting through the speakers that we had lined up today, and I'd like to go ahead and start calling up some of the folks who came up at the beginning of the event and said that they'd like to speak today. Is Robin McCutcheon, I think it is, still here with us? All right, Robin, thank you so much.
No prepared remarks, because I just walked up here, of course. I'm a retired Foreign Service officer, U.S. Department of State. And I spent most of my working life overseas in the Russian-speaking world. First in the days of Brezhnev, I was first in Ukraine in Kharkiv in 1978. And I have a lot of friends at USAID. In particular in Central Asia, where I spent 5 years. And what Musk is doing in our federal government has nothing to do with reducing our federal debt. It has everything to do with a culture war. Destroying everything that has to do with advancing American values overseas. We might be a country that has had its faults, but I've always believed in U.S. diplomacy and the soft power of doing good overseas, as I try to do my entire life. Who is trans? I am trans. First U.S. diplomat out and trans. I have to wonder today what's going to happen to them in the years to come. I'll keep this short. I'm going to teach you 2 words of Russian because I think it might be useful right now. First is what we saw last Friday in the Oval Office. The word in English is shame, but in Russian, Azor.
Azor.
Shame. And also, regarding Musk in particular, but this entire administration, down with them. The word in Russian, Doloi.
Doloi.
And let us all keep coming together, because it's right now, at the beginning, when we are the strongest. We do not want to have happen here what happened in Russia when Putin started taking over the media, which is, we see signs of that here. So keep coming together now, and thank you to these organizers.
All right, is Dirk still here? All right, come on up, Dirk. Dirk was at the Belfast event last weekend. He has a great idea, another call to action for us.
So everybody wants to know, what can I do? What can I do?
What can we do?
I got an answer for you. Hi there, fellow citizens. I'm Dirk Hagery from Belfast.
Louder!
Yay, Belfast!
I'm Dirk Fakery from Belfast. Many of you know how Trump treated Zelensky when he visited the White House last Friday. One of the lecture statements out of Trump's mouth was, "We have the cards. You don't have any cards. We have the cards." Zelensky responded, "I'm not here to play cards." Which enraged Trump. I heard from a demonstrator this past weekend a great idea. Let's send Zelensky and Ukraine some cards, so they have plenty of cards. So I've got
I love that.
cards and a small flyer with the address of the Ukrainian embassy in Washington. I want to urge you to take one, mail it to the Ukrainian embassy in D.C. with the note, "Stand strong, we have your back." Handwriting would be excellent. We're embarrassed by our president's actions and words during that meeting. He did not represent us. Our cards on the back table, and I have some with me I can pass out. They have the address of the Ukrainian embassy, and now you have something you can do.
All right, so everyone take a good look at Dirk and find your card if you don't have one of your own. At the table. Perfect. All right, let's see. Is Vicky still here? About the red line? Thank you, Vicky.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Vicki Blue. I have taught your wonderful Maine students for the last 42 years. Education. And I'm here today to talk to you about the red line. Let's talk about Angus King again. In the beginning of February, about 3 weeks ago, he was on the floor of the Senate talking to his colleagues during a cabinet nominee hearing. And he asked them, what should our red line be? He was referring to the numerous things that Republicans were rubber stamping, boom, 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 without seemingly any thought. He talked about the oath of office that every single congressperson took, and they seem to be forgetting. He ended his speech by asking, are there no red lines? I really want us to keep the visual of a red line in our minds, because our congresspeople are constantly crossing that line, and we need to call them out on it. Okay, so here's your visual, folks. So he ended by telling his colleagues that upholding the Constitution of the United States, that is a red line they should not cross. Let's hold them accountable to that. Please call their offices every chance you get. If you don't want to talk to a live person, call in the evening. You can talk to a machine. Only the calls they get, so it's worthwhile. MAGAs are calling them too. We need to be louder. Thank you. All right. So, see, is Paul Oppenheim still here? Would you like to come and speak, Paul? Thank you.
My great-grandparents, citizens of Germany who were in their 80s, took their own lives in 1933 because they saw the writing on the wall and they felt too old to pull up roots and move elsewhere. I hope that someday I don't feel compelled, and I hope no one feels someday compelled to follow in their footsteps. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's see, is Taylor still here? Taylor wanted to sing for us, and I think it'd be great to have some music. All right.
If only.
I'm going to be singing John Brown's Body, famously performed by Pete Seeger, and it's about the famous abolitionist John Brown, who ultimately lost his life fighting for Black Americans by taking Harper's Ferry, and was a catalyst for the American Civil War. He understood that the writing was on the wall, and that with the institutions and the status quo that had been established, there was going to be no change unless drastic actions were taken involving the seizing of Harper's Ferry. Unfortunately, he died, but his spirit still lives on in American exceptionalism to do the right thing no matter what. John Brown's body lies a mouldering in the grave. John Brown's body lies a mouldering in the grave. John Brown's body lies a mouldering in the grave, but his soul goes marching on. The stars above in heaven are looking kindly down. The stars above in heaven are looking kindly down. The stars above in heaven are looking kindly down on the grave of old John Brown. Glory, glory, hallelujah. Glory, glory, hallelujah. Glory, glory, hallelujah. His soul goes marching on. Well, he captured Harper's Ferry with his 19 men so true. He frightened old Virginia till she trembled through and through. They hung him for a traitor, they themselves the traitor crew. His soul goes marching on. Glory, glory, hallelujah. Glory, glory, hallelujah. Glory, glory, hallelujah. His soul goes marching on. Mine eyes had seen the glory of the coming of the Lord. He is trampling out the vintage where the grapes of wrath are stored. He's loosed the faithful lightning of his terrible Swiss sword. His truth is marching on. Glory, glory, hallelujah. Glory, glory, hallelujah. Glory, glory, hallelujah. His soul goes marching on. Thank you, everyone, for coming out here.
I think I need that onesie. I'm cold. I have 15 minutes. I'm not worried.
To have so many people stay for the entire duration. If Jody is still here, Jody O'Connor, I'd like to have you speak. Yeah.
We may be a popsicle, but we're still here.
Thanks for sticking around. It's cold. I know, I know. I'm going to talk a little bit about resistance through existing. Woo! Woo! Yeah. One of the principles in defying fascism is do not obey in advance. In a world where the
must choose not to comply with the expectations that seek to diminish our identities and our voices. Stay visible. Visibility is a form of resistance. We are encouraged to stand tall, engage passionately, and express our true selves, whether through social media, community gatherings, or simply being present in our everyday lives.
I was going to ask, do you want to message Granny?
Yeah, that's what I'm trying right now.
Do not hide. The forces that wish us to disappear thrive in silence and obscurity. By remaining unyieldingly present, we challenge the narrative that seeks to erase us. Together, we can transform our visibility into a collective force that cannot be ignored. It is our responsibility to unite in our shared experiences, embrace our differences, and celebrate the strengths founded in unity. And resisting oppression through our visibility, we pave the way forward for a brighter future where all voices are heard and valued.
Yes.
I'm going to fuel this lunch, and I'm going to issue you guys a challenge. I challenge you guys to be louder now than we were when we were at peak mass. We're going to do a little call and response. I say, show me. You say, this is. Show me what democracy looks like.
This is what democracy looks like. This is what democracy looks like. This is what democracy looks like. This is what democracy looks like.
I'd like to introduce Tyler to the stage. Tyler is a young person with us today. We love that.
Thank you. Alright, so I didn't have anything planned. I just thought that I could speak for a minute. My name's Tyler Rixalis, and I'm a trans dude. I know I sound really young, but I actually turned 18 like a week after.
You are really young.
My back hurts like I'm old. So I turned 18 like right after Trump got inaugurated, and it was honestly really overwhelming. It felt like I became an adult right when the world kind of came crashing down. And for a while, I didn't know what to do. I am ashamed to admit it, but I didn't really do anything for a while. I just kind of laid there, but it was terrifying. I'm not afraid to admit that. I was scared. But I'm not afraid anymore because I exist whether or not you want me to. You can't erase me. You can't erase any of us. No matter what you want, you can't. Sorry, hold on. You cannot erase the American people from our. You can't erase the American people. We were built on revolution, and if we have to revolt again, then we will revolt again.
Ashley's another person who I found very recently, who's right in my neck of the woods, that I've been really happy to get to connect with while we've been organizing this event. Hello! Can everybody hear me? Yeah! Thanks everyone for still sticking around. We're almost at the end here, but I'm here. My name is Ashley. I'm a lifelong Mainer, currently living in Waldo County, and I'm not a politician or anyone that holds any kind of powerful position. But my power, and the power that all of you standing here today have as well, is that the government works for us. We get them elected, and we get to hold them accountable. A few times today where people have been saying, call your representatives. So my call to action today, and something I want all of us to leave this protest promising to do, is to do just that. We are going to call on the people who work for us to do their jobs. Yeah! fivecalls.org. But this app is going to ask your location, and with that information, it's going to tell you exactly who your representatives are. In Senate, in Maine, we're looking at Collins and Ping. House is Pingree for District 1 and Golden for District 2. 5 Calls provides you with a list of pressing topics, the important facts, and scripts. If you don't know exactly what you want to say, they will outline that for you. And also the phone number to not only the Washington office of your representatives, but every single office that they have in Maine. And you can call every single one of them. 5 Calls also tallies how many calls are made on each topic. And I have been using 5 Calls since Inauguration Day. Nice! I'm sure King, Collins, and Golden staffers are so tired of hearing it. I'm going to keep calling and keep using my voice. Because the government works for who?
I just took a second to tell him thanks for being here.
And if you're an anxious person like myself and someone else, one of the other speakers suggested, I also suggest calling either before office hours or after office hours, because you can leave a voicemail. But the important thing is, if you do that, leave your street address. You have to leave your street address or else they won't tally it. And call often and call consistently. Also, another tip is keep each call to one topic. But that doesn't mean you can't call more than once a day. That we are putting on our representatives is working. Why? Because they work for who? Us! The GOP is actually now pressuring their party to stop holding town halls. Because their own constituents who voted them in are pushing back. This is not the time to get complacent or let off the gas. You all know Senator Collins. One of the politicians to apply pressure to, especially around the topics of saving Medicaid, Social Security, and funding to Ukraine. If you remember ACA, the Affordable Care Act, when they tried to repeal it during Trump's first term, she was one of the ones that helped keep it in place. So if you make one call today, please let it be to her. And when our representatives do something right, let's also make sure to call and thank them. Like I hope you all called and thanked Janet Mills. Recently, Senate Dems held strong and stopped a bill from advancing that would have excluded trans students from non-discrimination protection. That same bill passed in the House first because a small handful of Dems bent to pressure. Those stood strong deserve our thanks. Because while we don't say thank you to police, Jamie Vance, we do thank you to the people who are doing the work and standing for what is right. And the final thing that I want to say is that protests and marches are impactful, but they are not the end of our work. We need to take this momentum and this courage that we are all feeling at this moment and translate that into action. Because remember, who do I work for? Us! Who do I work for? Us! Thank you! Awesome, thank you. So, I have a few closing remarks, but before I get to them, I just want to ask if anyone has an awesome sign. Once we're done speaking, if you'd like to come up to the plaza, we've got a photographer who would love to get a picture of all the awesome signs that are still out with us today. And if you did take a video, and you could also come up and check in with Joe, we'd love to be able to get your video so that we can put it on YouTube and make sure that we showcase our speakers on the online platform as well as in person. Joe wants to add something.
The purpose of the video is that we can amplify our message way beyond the number that was here for the February 5th event that we had. We had hundreds of people here, but about 14,000 people watched in the aggregate.
Wow.
The videos of that meeting. And
I'll go find out how to send it to him at some point.
Bravery is contagious!
Alright, so we've heard a little bit about Angus King today, and I think he's got some supporters in the crowd. I wanted to close
Dad,
on this note.
do you want to hold this and I'll go up and find out from
Yep.
him?
Our Maine Senator Angus King gave a speech on the Senate floor in response to the Trump administration's firings and freezings of federal funds. And this was a powerful speech that does much of the heavy lifting in summarizing our cause and purpose here today. For that reason, I'd like to share an excerpt of his words with you all now. You may already be familiar with them. The reason the framers designed our Constitution the way they did was that they were afraid of concentrated power. They had just fought a brutal 8-year war with a king. They didn't want a king. They wanted a constitutional republic, where power was divided between the Congress and the president and the courts. And we are collapsing that structure. The people cheering this on, I fear, in a reasonably short period of time, are going to say, where did this go? How did this happen? How did we make our president into a monarch? How did this happen? How it happened was we gave it up. James Madison thought we would fight for our power, but no. Right now, we're just sitting back and watching it happen. But we're not sitting back and watching it here, are we? No! No, we're standing up. Because this is the most serious assault on our Constitution in the history of this country. It's the most serious assault on the very structure of our Constitution, which is designed to protect our freedoms and liberties in the history of this country. It is a constitutional crisis. Many of my friends in this body will say, it will be hard. We don't want to buck the president. We'll let the courts take care of it.
Yeah!
That's a cop-out.
Yeah!
It's our responsibility to protect the Constitution. What's it going to take for us to wake up? I mean this entire body to wake up to what's going on here. Is it going to be too late? Is it going to be when the president has secreted all this power and the Congress is an afterthought? What's it going to take? This is a constitutional crisis, and we've got to respond to it. I'm just waiting for this whole body to stand up and say no. No, we don't do it this way. We don't do things this way. We do things constitutionally. That's what the framers intended. They didn't intend to have an efficient dictatorship. And that's what we're headed for. We've got to wake up, protect this institution, but much more importantly, protect the people of the United States of America. Our purpose here in Maine today is the same. To urge Congress and all of our leaders to stand up, to uphold their oath of office that swears allegiance to our Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic.
Yeah!
To do everything within their power not to give an inch to this administration that has shown such outright malice towards our country and its people. We are here because it is our responsibility to protect the Constitution. But much more importantly, to protect the people of the United States of America. Together we are strong, and together we
It came in up there, but I wasn't able to do it because I didn't have any fingers.
Thank you so much for standing up with us together today.
Okay. Oh, drink. Okay. Bye-bye.